Good evening and welcome to Mining the Riches of the Parsha. Tonight is Thursday night, April 3rd, 2025. I just want to mention a bit of the schedule. So a week from tonight, April 10th, we will not be together. That's the night of Searching for Chametz. 2 weeks from tonight, April 17th, we will not be together. That is during Chol HaMoed Pesach. We will resume 3 weeks from tonight, April 24th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. However, we will only resume for 1 week because May 1st and May 8th, we will not be together. But hopefully after that, we will be able to continue on a regular basis. And hopefully, if I can arrange it, after that in May, middle of May, we will resume in person as well as on Zoom. So you'll be able to come here. Would love to have you come in person. And of course, we will still be doing Zoom for anyone who wishes to join. I'm so grateful to you for setting aside the time that we could study tonight. I've been looking forward to this all week, and I'm very glad to be with you. I don't think I could share this tonight without having shared last week that Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs written by Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, that we read this year on the seventh day of Pesach, which is Shabbos. We've been studying this. This is the third week that we're studying it together, and the last time that we'll be doing it together in this season. Last week, I shared with you that the book ends with confidence, with optimism, with looking forward with certainty to redemption and to renewed intimacy with God. The book ends on an emotional and spiritual high. Having said that, as Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, is a romantic relationship, there are inevitably ups and downs. And what I want to share with you tonight is, at least for me, and I hope it will be for you, quite emotional. And it goes like this. One of the problems in any long-term relationship is boredom, coming to take the other for granted. And in Parak Hey, chapter 5 of Shir HaShirim, we see this problem in a very dramatic manner. Ani yeshena v'libi er. I was sleeping. This is the beloved speaking. I was sleeping, but my heart was awake. Kol Dodi Dofek. The sound of my lover was knocking. My lover was knocking on the door, making noise, and saying to me through the door, Pischi li, open the door for me. Achosi, my sister. Rayasi, my beloved. Yonasi, my dove. Samasi, my perfect one. Open the door for me. Sheroshi nimlatal, because my hair, my head is wet with dew. It's uncomfortable to be outside in the nighttime like this. Kavutza sai rasise loila. My hair is wet from the night. So let's try to understand this on several of the levels that we've been discussing. Because while boredom and taking the other for granted is inevitable in any long-term relationship, this is a series of metaphors that is meant to describe the estrangement between God and the Jewish people. And this is not so much a rebellion of the Jewish people against God. It's just a drifting apart, as couples sometimes do. And so the beloved is inside, and the lover is knocking on the door and asking to be let in. So if the lover is God, this is God expressing a will to be close to us, to be intimate with us. This is God saying, I want this. And let's follow the metaphor. Sheroshi nimlatal. My head is wet with the dew of the night, meaning I am uncomfortable. It's an amazing statement. This is God saying, I want to be close to you because I, God, need to be close to you, Israel. I, God, need to be close to you, every single one of us, in our individual relationship with God. This is an expression of God's immanence, that God, so to speak, it's impossible for us to understand how this works. Because if God is perfect, God can't be uncomfortable standing in the rain. It doesn't make sense. But somehow there's an aspect of immanence that God allows us to see as if God is affected by the distance. It's not just we who are affected by being distanced from God. It is God who is affected. God wants this relationship to work. There's a prayer that we say in our daily prayers. V'ata kadosh, you God are holy. Yoshev Tehilos Yisrael. You sit upon the praises of Israel. The praises of Israel, our prayers, are the seat upon which God rests. In other words, here too, there is an aspect in which God is affected by our actions, our prayers. We do something for God with our prayers. And we do something for God with our intimacy with God, our desire to be close to God. But the beloved says, Pashatati es kutonti. I already got undressed. Eichoche obashena. What, now I'm going to get dressed again to go open the door? You know, you go upstairs, you go to bed, you're in bed, someone knocks at the door. But could you imagine if it's God who's knocking at the door? And you say, if it would have been a few minutes earlier, I would have been downstairs, I would have been dressed. But now I'm already in bed, I'm wearing pajamas. I should get up, I should put on clothes. Rachatzti es raglai. I washed my feet. A person in former times, they would wash their feet. We would wash our hands and face, brush your teeth before you go to sleep. I already got ready for bed. Now I'm going to get up again and disturb my whole sleep ritual. It's an expression not of revolt, not of disobedience. It's an expression of boredom. What does it matter? I let you in, I don't let you in. We're together, we're not. What does it matter? Dodi sholach yado min achor. My lover put his hand on the doorknob. Umei hamu olav. And at that moment, I regretted my earlier boredom, my earlier laziness. My inside started to move. God wants to speak to me. God is knocking and wants to talk to me. There's an opportunity that Kol Dodi Dofek. Kamti ani livtach ledodi. So I got up. I realized how crazy it was. I realized how how idiotic it was that I should, for no reason at all, not respond to God, not respond to the lover who's knocking, who wants to come in. How crazy must a person be not to respond to that? So I got up, livtoch ledodi, v'yadai natfu mar. That's bosai mar over al kapos hamanul. And when I touched the doorknob to be able to open the door, I felt there was a residue. I felt some of the perfume, some of the sweet smell of my lover. There was some remnant. Basakti ani ledodi. I opened the door for my lover. V'dodi chamak avar. But my lover had left. Nafshi yatz'a b'dabro. My soul left me. Bikashtiu v'lo mitzasihu. I looked for him, I searched for him, but I did not find him. Karasiv v'lo anani. I called to him, but he did not answer. This is an expression of the brutal phenomenon of Hester Panim. The Torah tells us, the Torah prophesies that there will come a time when there will be Hester Panim. It will be as if God is hiding his face from us, so that we look for God and we do not find God. We call out to God and we do not hear an answer. This is the experience we have in Golus, in exile, of distance. And again, it's just because of just laziness and just, why should I be bothered? But at the moment that I realize what it is that I might lose, I realize how unsensible that is. I realize how ridiculous that is. And I get up immediately and try to make amends. But sometimes when you have an opportunity and then you try to make amends, it's too late. V'dodi chamak avar. God knocked. My lover knocked. I didn't answer right away. So the lover left. So God left. And the consequence of that is expressed. I went looking. So now I'm searching for my lover. I'm searching for God, and I'm not finding him. And this is an experience that I think in Jewish history, certainly October 7th, certainly the Holocaust, certainly the Spanish Inquisition, certainly the Crusades. These are moments where we're looking for God and we don't find God. We're calling out to God in prayer and we don't hear an answer. This is Hester Panim. It appears to us as if God is gone, as God has given up on us, God forbid. That's how it appears to us. And the consequence of that is, Mitza'uni hashomrim hasovavim ba'ir. I went out at night to find my lover, and the guards, the watchmen, who walk around the city to make sure that everything is safe at night in the city, the watchmen found me. Hikuni, they hit me. Pitza'uni, they wounded me. Nasu es redide me'olai, shomrei hachomros. These watchmen, these guardians of the walls, they attacked me. They took away my pride. They took away my dignity. They hurt me. And this is an expression of the persecution that happens to us during exile. Anti-Semitism is built in to the experience of exile. And our attempt to find God, the beloved is looking for God. And that searching for God is misunderstood by everybody else. It's misunderstood as somehow being a threat to others. We discussed this a few weeks ago. The guard, the watchman, thinks that this person who's running around looking for God, maybe she's a thief. Maybe she's trying to break into someone's house. The guard misunderstands our desire to try to find God. We're misunderstood. And then we come to the verse of utter despair. Hishbati eschem benos Yerushalayim, daughters of Jerusalem, meaning nations of the world, I want you to take an oath. Im timsu es dodi, if you find my lover, because I'm not finding him. If you find him, matagidalo, what will you say to him? Say to God, Shecholas ahavo ani, I'm sick with love. I regret that I didn't get up right away. I regret that I didn't answer your knock. I regret that I missed the opportunity. I regret that I was lazy and bored. Tell God that I'm sick with the love that I have for God. And I'm also sick with the disappointment in myself that I feel. I want to point out one detail before going further. So it's expressed using the metaphor that the lover is knocking, and at first the beloved is unwilling to get up to answer the call. But finally she does get up, and when she reaches for the doorknob, she feels the residue of her lover, the scent, the sweet smell. There's a residue. Whenever we talk about Hester Putnam, whenever we talk about God hiding from us, whenever we talk about being distanced from God because of exile, so many of us felt distance from God on October 7th and many, many times since. And in our own personal lives, when we go through something and it's terrible and we don't understand it, and we feel distance from God, and we say to ourselves that maybe there is no God, maybe God's given up, maybe God is really not there, God forbid. The Torah itself says, Hester Panim, I will hide my face. But please know this. There is a verse earlier in Shir HaShirim. It's in the 2nd chapter. And the verse says, Hinei ze omed achar koslenu. Behold, he is standing on the other side of the wall. Meitzitz min hacharakim. Staring through the lattice. This is another poetic, metaphoric description of a time when we and God are distanced and we don't see God and we don't feel God, we don't experience God. However, it's only apparently, because even when we don't see God, even when we don't feel God, even when it appears to us that God is ignoring us, the truth is God is standing just on the other side of the wall. And God is looking at us through the lattice work. We don't notice, we don't see, but God never takes his eyes off of us. Even during the time of Hester Punim, it's only apparent. It's only on the surface. It appears to us. We experience it as if God is distant. It's not true. It's never true. Years ago, when we had the kiddie corner inside our building, so it was located, the gardery, it was located at the end of a hallway, and there was a door, and the door had a small window in it, so you could stand outside the door, you could see inside. And I remember every year, the first day of the school year, parents would bring their children, young children, for a gardery, for a nursery, 2 years old, 3 years old, they bring them in, and the parents are so worried. For many of them, it's the first time they've ever been separated from their child. Will the child be okay? And they bring the child into school. And of course, the children are warmly welcomed by the staff. It was a wonderful, wonderful, warm, kind staff. And of course, they understood what the first few days of school are like for a little child and for the parents. And so they would eventually leave the child, and it could be that the child felt that they were being abandoned. My parent has abandoned me. My parent is gone. Of course, I was standing outside, and I could see the parents looking through the window just to make sure until the child calmed down and was okay and was playing and smiling, and then they would leave. It's exactly the same thing. God is watching us, even when we don't experience it. There is an underlying connection, even at the worst of times. But of course, the worst of times are very, very bitter. And this despair, I won't be the one to find God. So if you find God, tell him, I'm just sick. I'm sick. I'm sick with love of God. Now, this passage is the basis of one of the most important lectures ever given by the Rav, Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik. In a speech that he gave on Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israel Independence Day, 1956, he said, almost nothing is as tragic in life as a missed opportunity. The opportunity was there. Tragedy could have been avoided, but the opportunity was missed. God says, let me in. And the spouse says, or the child says, or the congregant says, but I already got in bed. I should go downstairs. I should put on clothes now. Opportunity knocks. And you say to yourself, is this really the opportunity to change the world at this moment? Is this really the opportunity, the moment that's going to change my life? Probably not. So what if I don't answer? And once the opportunity is lost, v'dodi chamakovar, often it's too late. And it can never be recovered. As I mentioned, in 1956, the Rav, Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik, gave this lecture. It was later published as an essay, a very famous essay. The title is Kol Dodi Dofek. The sound of my lover is knocking. And this essay has become one of the most important statements of religious Zionism in the modern period. And the Rav traces throughout Jewish history, there are 6 historical moments when God is knocking, when there is an opportunity. And God says that number 6 is our generation. He was speaking in 1956, but he could be speaking to us right now. God is knocking with the creation of the state of Israel. God is offering us a new relationship to live in Israel. God is knocking on our door, wherever we are, in Montreal and Hampstead, and saying, come live with me in Israel. Let's live together in Israel. Israel is for us, the Rav was speaking in 1956, and it is just as true, if not more so, in 2025. Israel is for us the greatest opportunity in our recent history, and we dare not ignore that opportunity. And I say that knowing that I am a hypocrite. I'm here. But it's true. Yes, I'm a hypocrite, but at least I recognize the truth. The greatest opportunity in Israel's history is the opportunity to be able to live in Israel today. And I want you to know that this essay had tremendous effect. Because of this essay and many other teachings of the Rav, many of Rabbi Soloveitchik's students made Aliyah. Today, there are thousands, tens of thousands of students and students of Rav Soloveitchik and their families. They are in Israel, at least partially, because of the inspiration of the Rav, Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik. I would say that the Rav has inspired more people to make Aliyah than any single person in modern history. It's not even close. So the Rav's words had a tremendous impact, tremendous effect. People listened to the Rav. But I want to share with you a tragic irony in the Rav's personal life. Rabbi Soloveitchik visited Israel in 1935 at the age of 32. He was being considered for the position of the Ashkenazi chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, an important rabbinical position. Ultimately, he was considered to be too young, and he did not get the position. In 1967, right after the Six-Day War, a woman named Miriam Shiloh wrote a letter to the Rav. She was a teacher of a girls' school in Israel, and this is what she wrote. She wrote, I learned your essay, Kol Dodi Dofek, with my students. It made such an impression on them and on me. And the victory of the Six-Day War, this is a woman who's living in Israel, the victory of the Six-Day War is precisely as you describe it, Kol Dodi Dofek. This is the moment that you described. This is a moment of spiritual reawakening of world Jewry. This is the knock of the lover on our door. And she writes to him, Miriam Shiloh writes to the Rav, won't you please come back to Israel? If not to live, at least to visit. He had not been back to Israel since 1935 when he went on that interview. Won't you please come back? You wrote. I taught this to my students. It's so moving. You wrote, this is the moment. This is the opportunity. Please at least come to visit. We have the letter that Rabbi Soloveitchik wrote back to her. It is one of the saddest letters that you will ever read. He writes in the letter, you are right. I should come. I should have come earlier. My wife and I made plans to come for 6 months. But as soon as the plans were made, my wife became ill. We could not travel. Several months ago, my wife passed away. Many in my family have urged me to come to Israel now myself. But since my wife died, I am entombed in grief. How is it possible for one as depressed and broken as me to walk in the joyous streets of Jerusalem? I am unable to overcome this melancholy and bestir myself to travel. And never again, for the remainder of his life, did the Rav set foot in Israel. The teacher of the greatest tragedy in life suffered the consequence of not heeding his own lesson. Don't let it happen to you. Don't let an opportunity pass. If you have the opportunity to visit Israel, go to Israel. If you have the opportunity to move to Israel, move to Israel. If you have the opportunity to love your spouse, love your spouse. If you have the opportunity to hug your child, hug your child. If you have the opportunity to do a mitzvah, do the mitzvah with enthusiasm and excitement and romance. Learn not only from the Rav's lesson, but learn from the Rav's life. Kol Dodi Dofek. Whatever type of opportunity it is that knocks, answer it immediately, because God may not answer a second time. God may not knock a second time. This is Shir HaShirim, the story of God and each of us, the story of God and Israel throughout our history. It's a story told with passion, with disappointment, with romance, and ultimately with eternal love. I hope for you and for me that on the seventh day of Pesach, when we reach Shir HaShirim this year, that it will resonate, that it will move us, that the emotions and the romance and the intimacy will come through the words. And we'll be sad, and then we'll rejoice. My friends, I wish you a good evening and a beautiful Shabbos. I take this opportunity to wish you and your family Chag Kosher V'Sameach, a beautiful, wonderful, healthy, inspiring Passover. And I look forward to seeing you soon in person.